Hey everybody, Force here, back with some more Overwatch news. Today, first up, we've got what looks to be a change in the lever system since the Uprising event. So if you're not aware, prior to Uprising, it worked like this. If you got disconnected, you had about a minute to return to the match. So for whatever reason, if you lose internet, if Blizzard servers crapped out for a minute, if your cat flipped the power switch on your computer, whatever the reason is, if you leave, you got 1 minute to come back without receiving a lever penalty. However, according to this thread, since the Uprising event, that has changed. If you disconnect, even for just a couple of seconds, you are immediately marked as a lever. Returning within under that minute doesn't offset this, so this in turn, of course, means even if your team does win, you're going to receive a loss. You'll get marked with a lever penalty, which progressively gets worse, making it longer and longer until you can re-queue. Eventually, if this happens enough times, you can actually get banned for an entire competitive season. And to top this off, evidently, there's also been a higher than normal disconnect rate since the Uprising patch. So Blizzard did respond to this thread. They start off by saying that there are no overarching server issues that are causing this at the time of this posting. That's not to say that they don't have any hiccups on their end, but they do post on Twitter and their website whenever anything happens with their servers, like they get DDoS attacked or whatever. The post went on to say that usually after some investigation of these kinds of disconnects or failures to connect to the game, they find that the problem is with the player, either their local configuration, the internet path between them and the Blizzard servers. And then finally, he wrapped up by saying whether or not the problem is in your control, leaving a game for any reason affects the play experience of other players. I guess my issue with the Blizzard's response here is all the response ended up focusing on was the disconnect problem. And whether or not it's Blizzard servers or the player servers, we all agree that if someone leaves a game, it sucks for everyone else. If you leave a match, it's a huge issue for your team, right? But whether or not the disconnect comes from Blizzard themselves or player, it's really hard to know for sure. But kind of at this point, it's he said, she said. Players will be pointing to Blizzard saying, my internet is fine, your servers are crap, and Blizzard will come back and say, hey, on our end, it looks like everything's fine. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't be having hiccups in their servers. Wherever the blame is to be placed, everyone else in the match suffers. So the issue then becomes, how do you deal with the people who do leave? How do you try to punish them to prevent leaving from happening? Leaving from disconnects isn't something that should necessarily be punished, but the issue is you can't distinguish leaving from disconnects from leaving on purpose, because people could just unplug their fucking Ethernet cables and say, oh, I got to the internet, I lost the internet, sorry Blizzard, but they were just leaving because they didn't feel like completing the match, or they were trolling, or whatever their reasoning. So it's how they deal with levers that becomes important. But the issue is, I guess, in Blizzard's response here is at no point do they talk about the evident change in the lever system. I don't know if this is actually the case, but if it is the case, if levers are now immediately marked as a lever, even if they rejoin in under a minute, and they're gonna go on to get a loss even if the team wins, and lever penalties are immediately applied, I think that's a bit too harsh. I do certainly agree that levers have continued to be an issue and that Blizzard needs to do something more, but I'm not sure if allowing no potential time to reconnect is exactly the response that they should have, if this is in fact the case. I'd love to hear some reports from you guys. I guess if anything, I'd like to sort of collect some more evidence. Since the Uprising event, have you guys had disconnects? And if so, have you returned within under a minute? And what happened? Did you still receive the lever penalty? Did it work like prior to the Uprising event where you had that grace period, you could still come back, you could still go on to get the victory, and you wouldn't get marked with a penalty? Now, the next story is actually about 3 vs 3. I'm not sure how many of you are still doing it, but there was a thread that mentioned how they wish there was health packs in 3v3 because characters like Roadhog and Soldier appear to have an unfair advantage due to their self-heals. Jeff Kaplan responded with, we tried the mode with health packs originally, and it caused a lot of fleeing behavior that felt contrary to what elimination is all about. We tried having them on fast respawn, slow respawn, as well as no respawn, but it always felt like health packs were too much of a primary gameplay driver, rather than the pure combat, which feels like what the mode should be focused on. With that said, we plan to add health pack options to custom games so that you can enable them for elimination modes. If we see that the community is playing a high amount of elimination custom games with those health packs enabled, we'll reconsider our stance. Also, coming soon, we are redoing the sudden death mechanic in Elimination to prevent fleeing and turtling and reduce the number of draws. More info on that will be revealed soon. So there's two things from this. First of all, the health pack issue. You know, we knew this originally when Elimination was first revealed. People were saying, why are there no health packs on the Elimination map? What the hell? Blizzard's response at that time, which, what was that, last BlizzCon or whatever? They basically said, like, look, people were just hanging out by the health packs. That was the entire mode. They weren't using most of the map. They weren't playing how Blizzard felt the mode should play. They were all just humping health packs, essentially. Cool that they're adding it to custom games. If people seem to want to play more Elimination with health packs, then they'll have the option, and Blizzard could say, you know, a lot of the community is clearly interested. Maybe we consider rolling it in. But the second part that I think is really cool is the potential change to the sudden death mechanics. I don't know how long it's been since you've played 3v3, but sudden death is kind of like a pain in the ass. Turtling, fleeing and turtling, Jeff referred to it as. And yeah, that's kind of what it came down to a lot of the time. So how are they going to change this? Well, you know, I've been playing a lot of Battlegrounds recently, and if you don't play that game, basically it's got a system where as the match progresses, the play area gets tinier and tinier, and the exact purpose of that is to focus players into an area and stop fleeing and turtling. So I'm really curious if Blizzard is gonna like introduce this kind of Blizzard mechanic, where the outsides of the map push inward to force players towards the center, which will stop people from running around or from turtling up in their base or wherever. I am very intrigued as to what Blizzard is considering, but I think it'd be cool if they implemented, once again, a Blizzard type mechanic, because it's Echo Point Antarctica, the storm's raging, pushing the last remaining players into the center. Like, it's a cool concept, it's a cool theory, and well, I guess Jeff said we'll be finding out pretty soon what that change is going to be. Now, finally, for today's video, I want to wrap up by saying, addressing something from the last video. We talked about an exploit that was happening for Symmetra's teleporter. The goal of me initially, maybe as boneheaded as it was to just let people know that this was happening, give them an idea as to how it was happening, so that they could recognize it in their games. And unfortunately, what I neglected to mention is that don't fucking do this, obviously. Like, what the hell? Honest to goodness, I felt so bad after uploading that, because people were like, I'm just gonna start using this. And I'm like, that's the fucking opposite. The point was so that you could recognize that people were using it, so that people weren't confused in their games when the opposing Symmetra, or even the Symmetra on their own team, was using it. So, with that said, firm stance here, don't fucking do it. It's an exploit. Good chance that Blizzard may issue bans for people who abuse this. Shame on me for not initially announcing that. In fact, in retrospect, whenever I cover things like this in the future, again, with said purpose of just letting you know about it so that you yourself can recognize when it's happening and report the issue so that Blizzard knows who's doing it, how much they're abusing it, whatever, I will be sure to never bring into the equation how it's being done, because I you know, that's not necessary for you to recognize how it's happening, and I realize that now. Apologies for the error. Don't fucking use the exploit, please, because the good chance Blizzard might be handing out bans, and also because it's the wrong, you shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be abusing exploits. So, all right, that's that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed today's Overwatch news video. Hope you have a good one. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, and until next time, I'll see you later.